Okay, so this semester in Methods of Inquiry, we talked about in Dr. Barlow's section weapons of math destruction, and one example we talked about was the college ranking system. So, as a college freshman who just went the process of researching, visiting, and picking a college, I learned that the college rankings are extremely prevalent, and they did have an impact on my school decision. However, before taking this class, I did not know about all the negatives that are not talked about with the college ranking system. But I was really interested in this class learning about the college ranking system and how they are a weapon of math destruction. So this leads me to my thesis. Um, Based off all that I have learned and the research that I have conducted throughout the semester, I believe that college ranking systems should no longer be used because they cannot take into account many important aspects of college life. Colleges game the system in order to gain a higher ranking, and they also have many negative effects on students and families. So, my first point is the college ranking systems cannot take into account many important aspects of college life. So, the US News World and Report college ranking system is one of the most well known. So, their ranking system is based off of retention rate, social mobility, graduation rates, faculty resources, class size, faculty salary, expert opinion, financial resources, student excellence, standardized test scores, high school class standing, and alumni giving. And although this list seems really long and seems like it takes into account many things for calculating rankings, there are many things about a college experience that are not taken into account because they are hard or impossible to measure. So, some examples of these are career outlook, student life, campus atmosphere, friendliness, student satisfaction, diversity, athletics, and course offerings, and the list goes on and on. So, tuition is also another very big thing that is not taken into account um, for students in the college ranking system. So, journalist Willard Dick says that you can look at the statistic for each school on each list to get an idea, but when you add the x of the student to the equation, it becomes a whole new equation. So, this shows how the data used in college rankings is very limited, and once you put a student into the atmosphere, whether or not the student fits and is happy there makes things a lot more complicated, and it's very hard to predict simply because there are many unknown things. So, lists and rankings at best only give you a static view on the school, since many considerations and aspects of college are left entirely out of rankings. These systems have been around for decades, yet still fail to take into consideration some very important aspects of college education, like I mentioned before. So, this is a video where this woman talks about the college ranking systems and why they should not be trusted completely, and I will include a link to my Prezi so you can watch it. And finally, this shows what goes into the US News World and Report college rankings. So it just shows you how much the percentage and how much stuff is actually taken into account. And then you can see that there are actually, obviously, there's many more aspects to a college life than the ones that are included here. So this leads me to my second point, that colleges game the system in order to receive a higher ranking. And this is because these ranking systems have been around for decades. Schools know what data is being used. So this leads them trying to game the system or change rankings and submitting incorrect data in order to obtain a higher ranking. This system results in a destructive feedback loop as colleges submit incorrect data or change admission standards, all because they're trying to obtain a higher ranking. In 2018, at least 8 colleges were found to have submitted incorrect data for rankings, which I will talk about in a little bit. So, colleges manipulate, some examples of things they manipulate are the number of applicants and admission rates, and even test results of students. So, this is because admission rate is key in the US News World and Report rankings, so it causes a competition between colleges because they have an incentive to improve their rank. Moreover, improved rankings increase applications, which lowers acceptance rates and in turn improves rankings. And the college ranking system is also all about marketing for the schools. So the higher they are, the more news they're going to get. And like I said before, this leads to a destructive feedback loop. because schools are competing as if they are brands, but they are not. So this is the real world example. In 2018, there were 8 colleges found to have submitted incorrect data for the rankings. So, for example, one of the schools was Austin Peay State University. They incorrectly reported its 6-year graduation rate as 40% when it was actually 37%. And Dakota Wesleyan University incorrectly reported its average need-based grant to undergraduates. And there were obviously 6 other schools, but in all 8 cases, this incorrect data that was supplied was enough to raise their rankings. So they did submit incorrect data to help raise their rankings. This graphic just shows that the best colleges are supplying incorrect data in order to obtain a higher ranking, but they're really not the best. So this leads me to my last point, that the ranking system has negative effects on students and families. Like me, I just went through this. I did not understand what goes into and what does not go into a school's rank. Also, students tend to ignore the underlying details, even though these details carry more information than the overall rank. So higher ranked schools are seen as more prestigious, so students want to apply there without knowing if they're qualified. And this has also led to the going away of safety schools. There's not really a thing anymore. One other important aspect that tends to be very negative on students and families is that of tuition, because tuition is not included in the rankings. So the affordability of a school can be a huge unforeseen obstacle for families. Students and families will look at the school and think it's perfect, but then they find out that they actually can't afford it, but they don't know that because it's not included in the ranking at all. So the best way to get a feel for a school is to go and do a visit. Rankings might lead a student to believe that they will not like a school, when in reality it might be a great fit for them, and they might think school's great, only to find out that it's actually not a good fit for them. And this also goes back to the fact that there are many things not included in the rankings. So this graphic shows the importance of rankings. So it surveyed students, and this here shows that 48% of students said that a school's recognizable name or reputation was very important to them, and 45% said it was somewhat important, while only 7% said it was not important at all. So this just reinforces the idea that the ranking systems are so important, because it's how schools get more money and more students. And this graphic was a study at Brown University, and this shows how widely viewed college rankings are, with less than 5% of Brown University students looking at the rankings. And finally, for more information, this is a chapter we read during this class, Chapter 3, Arms Race Going to College, in the book Weapons of Math Destruction. Here's my works cited. So, obviously, there are many flaws in the college ranking system. In the beginning, it might have been a valuable resource, but in today's society, there's been way too much emphasis placed on the system, and it has led to many unforeseen effects. In my opinion, the college ranking system needs to be dramatically changed, or even better, just done away with. This is simply because picking school is such an important decision, and many things need to be taken account during the process for each individual student. But there's many things that can't be taken into account. So for these reasons, the college ranking system should no longer be used, because they cannot take into account many things. Colleges game the system, and they have many negative effects on families and students.